Well, there you go. There's your an interview with Yoshinori Ono, and now we got even more Super Street Fighter content for you because we got Seth Killian from Capcom here. What's up, man? How are you?
How's it going? Nice to see you.
Pleasure to see you. Thanks for being on the show. And we also have Randolph Ramsey from GameSpot Australia making his debut. I believe it's your debut.
This is my debut on international GameSpot TV. So hey, Brian, how you doing?
Well, we had Guy here. Now you're a full international representing, man.
Yes, we are the world.
And I'm so happy to have Randolph here because he is a resident Street Fighter expert, and I am not. So I'm gonna rely on you heavily on this. But Seth, where do we start with Super Street Fighter 4?
Well, we're getting near the end, so the game's coming out on April 27th. I know a lot of players around the world we get a lot of emails saying, how about you just release it earlier? And I'm saying, oh, it's not quite how it works, but we want to get it out as soon as we can. But we've just introduced our last new character. He's a Turkish oil wrestler, of course, named Hakan, and it definitely trends toward the zanier end of the Street Fighter spectrum. That's always been one of my favorite things about this series, is that it sort of combines sort of more serious fighters like, you know, Ryu or Akuma, alongside characters like Blanca, who's a little zanier, now Hakan. You have more comical characters like Dan. But so Hakan definitely fits on the spectrum. The thing I like about him is that he looks sort of silly in a lot of ways, but he's actually pretty good.
He's effective.
Yeah.
Well, otherwise, why would you put all that oil on?
Exactly. Yeah, we just had a little a private event here at GDC to sort of debut the character, and had some great Street Fighters in there from some of the Street Fighter community, and they were sort of like, this guy's no good. So I went up there and crushed about 10 of them, and then later went by and saw some of the top guys playing Hakan and really putting on some beatdowns. So I think people will be surprised once they get their hands on him, all the damage he can do.
Well, that's always the way. You got to learn how a guy plays. Right?
Exactly. So yeah, he doesn't. He's just not obvious. But
well, let's dive in and take a look and watch him in action.
So here's Hakan. Definitely a crazy look, and he's got a bunch of sort of normals. So he's got his regular grabs. There's a towards grab, and we'll do a quick away grab. And also, if you want to jump just straight up and down for me, he's also got an air grab, so you can keep people on the ground that way. So I got you're cool on the ground there. He's also got this, which is his grab and squeeze, and it'll send you 3 different ranges depending on which one you do. He's also got a kick grab. That's a pile driver with a kick, and if you duck for me, that'll whiff, but if you're standing, it'll grab you. And I can also charge that up, so to speak, by holding down the button. So if your timing is, if your opponent isn't quite where you want them when you begin the move, you can sort of hold on to that.
So what's the range on that one, sir?
It depends. So, well, that's the standing roundhouse. But so he can do, it's pretty good, actually, as an anti-air kind of move, or just grabbing somebody who you think is going to stand. So you can do a little bit of a mix-up between that, if somebody you think is going to maybe be crouching or blocking, and going for this if you think they're going to jump and that'll catch them out of the air. Or again, you can go for the air throw if you think they're going to jump as well, to try and keep them on the ground. So it's a bit of a guessing game there.
So he's got a lot of, I guess, close range move, but he's also got a good distance one, right?
He does. So this is the slide, and it's also got a little follow-on move where you can mash a punch there and quickly get a follow-on move. But what I should say is, well, 2 things. So one, he's got sort of all his normal moves, and then he's got what we call a command version of all the normal moves, and that's just. So this is his standing middle punch, and then this is holding towards in his middle punch. So it's sort of a special version. So here's his standing hard punch, towards and hard punch. Special version of all his normal moves, so that gives him a lot more sort of normal options. But what really makes this interesting is, of course, he's an oil wrestler. So it's all about the oil and staying oiled up. So he's got the oil shower, and there it is. He's covering himself with virgin olive oil, and now he's all oily. You can see him. That's the EX version of the oil. It'll go straight through fireballs. But what this does, so if we saw this move before, now notice how far it slides along the ground. So you can use his command moves to slide forward or back, and it really increases the range. It also massively increases the range on his grab. It also increases his damage, defense. So it's really essential to the Turkish oil wrestler style to stay oily.
Can you stack up that oil?
You can.
You just keep doing it?
Exactly. So there's a sort of a short kick version of the oil. You see how quick that goes, and that'll expire quite quickly in just a few seconds, all the way up to the EX oil, which will stick with you for a long time. And that will power up the slide move like that. You can move across the screen very quickly, and then get the extra damage on the follow-on. And then, for instance, this standing roundhouse, if you block that, just block that one for me. Yeah, just block. You got to block it out. No, I'm not oily anymore.
All up.
So there, that's exactly what you got to do. Just block down and back. There you go.
Yep.
And then quite quickly I can grab off that. So you're familiar with Zangief's sort of techniques of, you know, he does a few light attacks, then into like a low short, and then a pile driver. Hakan can basically do this standing roundhouse from all the way across the screen when he's oiled up. And basically he's got like a Zangief version of that move, and if you block that, I can either go low or mid and grab you, or go high like this. I've also got the super. That's sort of a powered up version of his kick grab there. And again, very silly. And of course, we shouldn't forget about the ultra, so I'll help you out here. And if you could just jump for me quickly. There you go. You slip and slide. One of the most ridiculous ultras in all of Street Fighter history. Wait for it. Oh no. Out the back. And there's that pause where you see Ibuki sort of sliding along the ground like, I trained my whole life to be a ninja, and now I've been shot out by this oily guy, and I'm about to crash into the wall. It's demoralizing for your opponent.
You mentioned Zangief. Is he the character that's most like Hakan?
I think that's definitely the right starting point. So he does use the 360 motions on his kick and punch grabs, but he's really very distinct from Zangief, and I think the people who've had a little hands-on time with him have really been on the same page with that. So yeah, this move really changes him up. So he's got a fast way to get across the screen with some of his normals as well. His focus attack, of course, very important. And then you can go straight into the grab from there.
Because he looks to have quite good speed.
Yeah, he does. So he's got a very low jump, so he's not the fastest character in the game, but he's definitely got some ways around it. I should also add he's got this sort of, we call the coward dodge. This is down in all three punches, so you can you can quickly go from that into a grab, if you manage to duck under a fireball and then fire out your opponent with a grab.
What about in terms of brute strength? Where does he rank?
Oh, pretty highly. He does a lot of damage, so you'll see very quickly that was just a quick 2 hits into a grab, and that did about 40%. And if I had oiled up, it would have been even more damage. So that really is the key, and that's your opportunity. So so I could jump in here and get a grab, and then I want to quickly oil up, and I have that opportunity while you're on the ground, and then to stay oily. And I'm able to do some effective stuff from across the screen, or obviously very dangerous when he gets in close. And that's basically Hakan in a nutshell, but that's the key, is sort of finding opportunities to stay oiled up. It's ridiculous, but it's a fun new game mechanic, and it really is. So he's in some ways reminiscent a little bit of Q from Third Strike. People remember him. He could taunt to sort of increase his defense. So Hakan gets a lot of benefits out of his oil, really increases the range on all those command normals, even changes their properties. So for instance, the stand roundhouse here doesn't knock you down, but when I oil up, it'll knock you right down. So, and for instance, I can't chain my light kicks, but when I'm oiled up, it's very easy to just sort of run them all together because I'm oily. So the attacks just sort of flow one right into the other. And he's a ton of fun.
Now, speaking of Third Strike, you've got Street Fighter 3 characters in here now. Obviously, you've had to change them a little bit, right? Because parry was so important in Street Fighter 3. Can you talk through how these guys have changed, if at all?
What I think the team has been really proud about is that they really do feel like they're Third Strike equivalents. So again, early reports from a lot of Third Strike players say the same thing. So they've got some new versions of their old tricks, but all the sort of fun things that you like to do in Third Strike, you're going to feel right at home. You're going to be able to jump right into these kind of techniques again. So again, Ibuki has all of her chain combos, or a lot of them. She's got a bunch of techniques with the kunai, the sort of the air knife, sliding on the ground. All of her crazy kicks are all still in effect. They're a new version in the Street Fighter 4 world, but they're all, everything you wanted to do in Street Fighter 3 you can still do. So Dudley's got all of his old tricks. His overhead roundhouse into the super, very dirty trick there. It's all still working in Street Fighter 4.